you also are a professional belly dancer,
Yes,
award-winning belly
yes,
dancer.
yes.
And I know more about romance than I do about belly dancing, but the first thing that comes to my mind with belly dancing is a little bit of like, oh, that's risque, in a similar way that, historical romance with sex scenes is, oh, that's risque. Do you find yourself encountering similar dynamics in these two different spheres?
That's so interesting. I represent two different cultures in my writing because when I'm writing, I am mostly writing anymore about the British culture and I'm
Mm-hmm.
American. So, and I have always been like, I think I'm supposed to be British. I think like, I have always loved the British culture and history ever since I was little. In dance, I really studied Egyptian, Lebanese, and Turkish, primarily those cultures, because became very important to me that I presented those dances accurately. And in those countries, the dance form is absolutely beautiful and it is really different than it is in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I danced for probably over 20 years up until the pandemic. I was the featured dancer at a Lebanese restaurant.
Wow.
So, and it was the restaurant was fancy and it was nice and it was, you've got have an upper class clientele coming in, and then of course you'd have people from other countries coming in. American military would come in because if they had been stationed in the Middle East, they love Lebanese food and music and
Sure.
dance. So, and I was working for a Lebanese family. So it had always become very important to me that I presented the dance very respectfully,
Mm-hmm.
that I, and when I was a teacher, I also, because I was a high school teacher, and one time I had this big article in the newspaper about, high school teacher, belly dancer. And I remember there were a couple comments like, oh, this is what our public school teachers have come to. But it was so important to me that I always invited my principals and my fellow coworkers, come see one of my shows at one of the fairs or festivals, because
Mm-hmm.
you will not be offended. You will not be upset. You will come away going, oh my gosh, like it's like a Vegas show with all the colors and the lights and the props. And sometimes I would get students who'd come into the restaurant with their families. I mean, I can't even really think of any time when people weren't like, oh, wow, that's really beautiful. That's really neat. That wasn't what I expected. So,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, so I obviously, I have this outside creative, colorful personality, outside of being this little strict teacher.
Right. Well, it's really interesting to be creative in so many different areas too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love creativity. I believe that that's what makes us human. And as a high school teacher, because I was a special ed teacher, my students were coming to me, and sometimes like regular education had worked for them. So that became the way that I could teach them was by being creative myself and by teaching them to utilize their creativity. So my classroom was always filled with glitter and popsicle sticks and construction paper and boxes, and it was always about thinking outside the box. How can we be engaged and how can we be creative? So I hope that creativity is one of the things when my students left my classroom, that they came away feeling like they were creative and embracing their own creativity.
Yeah, that's lovely.